After a heavy night of drinking, I woke up today in a stranger's garage, pooped in it, was let out, and then swarmed by 3 police cars. I was a block away from my house. What's your worst blackout story? Went to a party at a friend's house. Woke up in 7-Eleven parking lot in Connecticut. I don't live in Connecticut. I've been told I sometimes forget how to speak and try to communicate with sign language. I don't speak sign language. I really need to learn when to say when. I don't speak sign language. What an odd phrase. I only blacked out once. When I came to, I found a KFC bucket with a book on top of it inverted on the kitchen floor. I could hear scratching noises from under it, so I stupidly took the book off and picked up the bucket to find a pee-off and disoriented bat trapped under it. I have no clue when I got chicken, or where the bat came from, or who managed to trap it under the empty chicken bucket. I'm actually really sore about that because somehow I think it'd be a more epic story than waking up to it. I'm mostly impressed that you seem to have eaten an entire bucket of chicken by yourself. It was a Tuesday night. I was at my friend Nick's house with 2 of our other friends, Richard and Emma. Since I was the newbie to the group, they demanded an initiation of a shot of Jose Cuervo. Okay, no big deal. The last thing I remember is saying I love this crap. I woke up the next morning, naked, in my grandparents' house. I was later told I pounded the bottle of Jose, locked myself in Nick's room, threw up on his bed, and found his fire extinguisher and doused everyone while I was completely naked. I will never drink Jose again. I realized that tequila is what made me black out both time. Maybe mixing them with different types of whiskey and beer didn't help either, but a few weeks ago had 6-pack at a bar, did a pull of Cuervo, and some cheap whiskey, and another 4 or 5 Keystone Lights. Blacked out for most of the night, got dragged out the bar we were in cause I passed out taking a crap. It was not good colon. Throwaway for many reasons. I am 30 and when I drink, I drink. I usually do not get so crazy that I have to puke or anything. I'm 30, remember? I'm a respectable drunk, right? Sure, I may cause a bit of mischief if I drink a bit too much wild turkey, but hey, it's all in good fun. From my vast experience of drink, I was pretty much assured to never have a problem again. Never assume that, folks. I had not eaten on the fateful day. Went for a walk where, according to my awesome heart rate monitor, I burned 1,500 calories. I met an old friend for drinks. Had 3 beers. Felt pretty toasty. Went back to his. Drank a bunch of tequila. Don't remember much after that. I wake up, not sure where I am with people holding me down and some guy in a wheelchair screaming at the top of his lungs. I pass out. I come to at around 5 in the morning. Have no idea where I am. There is a nurse. I have puke in my hair. My first thought is I'm in the drunk tank. So I'm wondering if I'm allowed to get out of my bed. Do they have beds in drunk tanks? There are a bunch of dudes in beds. I ask the nurse looking lady where I am. She tells me I'm at a homeless shelter, special drunk section. She asks me if I want to know how I got here. She recounts how they found me at so and so address asleep on the stoop. That address is where my apartment is, on the other side of town. I, in my blackout, had made it home, but someone called the homeless cops on me apparently. She asked if I wanted a shower. Considering there was puke dried in my hair, I said yes. Took a shower there by washing my hair because I didn't want to step in the shower. After the shower I noticed there is a terrible smell. I had shat my pants while sleeping as well. Fortunately it was all contained in the boxer area. I take a real shower and throw away the boxers. I walk back to the nurse and ask if I can leave. She asks if I have my wallet. I reach for my pocket and say yup. She seems surprised. She says most lose it when they come here. I walk out, with no charges against me publicly or from my wallet. Took me a long time to get over the shame. Still not over it. Haven't been drunk since, and have not had more than 1 drink if I do have drink. TLDR. Got really drunk. Blacked out. Woke up in a homeless clinic with dried puke in my hair, and not so dry crap in my pants. The fact that your wallet wasn't touched is an omen that you should donate all you can to your local homeless shelter. If you cannot afford to give money, volunteer your time. That night, somebody had to put up with your crap, literally and figuratively, and gave you a warm place to sleep it off. Pass on that kindness to another person. I woke up in the hospital handcuffed to a bed, surrounded by police officers. I was told that I was being charged with a felony criminal mischief. Went to jail for 48 hours. Returned to my apartment building, only to see every window in the lobby, floor to ceiling windows, was busted out and duct taped with cardboards. I have no recollection of the incident. I had just moved into a duplex in a row of duplicate dwellings with 3 people I had never met before. Craigslist. My GF had recently broken up with me and I was undergoing whiskey therapy at my local watering hole when I decided to walk the mile or so home. The next thing I knew, I was standing on a back deck type thing and had nothing but my pants and shoes on. There a hysterical elderly lady crying on the phone in front of me and her husband was by her side yelling expletives. I was on the phone with one of my new housemates proclaiming, "This old woman is in our house and won't let me in." 5 minutes later, my new housemate was holding me in her arms, repeating it was an honest mistake to the couple. I moved out a short time after. TLDR. I thought I had finally arrived to my new living quarters, ended up scaring an old couple, nakedly. Nothing but pants and shoes is not very naked. On my 21st, a buddy of mine decided to one-up everyone at the bar and go all out. We went to 2 different bars, the first of which had $1 shots. He does not remember going to the second bar. After leaving the second bar we got separated from him. So fast forward about 10 hours when he is woken up on a random couch about 2 miles from the bar we were at. All the guy said was "You gotta go" and nothing else. Needless to say he left. He was missing his phone and wallet, had scratches all over his body, other than his face, and a bruised kidney and broken collarbone. We have no idea what happened to him. If anyone in Clemson had to wake up a random kid from their couch about 2-3 weeks ago, please tell us what happened. I'm going to guess he stumbled into a shrubbery. Source: I lost my phone and got covered in scratches falling into a bush in Clemson. It was at the bottom of a retaining wall. I just remember my friends being dongs and me walking away. Then I was in a bush, in opposite direction of my home, half a mile away from my friends. Missing the last bus with friends gets interesting stories. After my first and what ended up being my last hosted house party, I had to visit my grandma the next day. I remembered a drunk trip to 711, stealthily avoiding the police with my roommate, refusing to have an orgy in my bed. Before you ask, no one had an orgy, and kicking everyone out when neighbors started yelling at us to shut the frick up and threatening to call the police. So I'm hungover as heck at my grandma's house and I notice there's a new video on my phone. I foolishly press play and 2 of my friends are singing the can in a chorus line. Naked. Penises flopping. I quickly stopped it and my grandma asks what was that from across the room. I reply with a quick, "Nothing." We're going to need to see that video, sir mom. I went to a bar one night with my, now ex, BF. We were getting tequila wasted and meet this weird guy named Lucky. Shots after shots, we decide to leave and go party with Lucky. Last thing I remember is getting in a car. Then I woke up in the middle of random backyard with no shirt. Oh, and I was a 1000% sure I was in Canada with no way back to the States. Somehow I managed to find the BF and we started walking until it got too cold and we apparently broke into a warehouse and slept on plywood. Once the sun came up, we pulled a "dude, where's my car" moment and walked off, shamed it over 3 miles back to the bar. Lucky for me, I left my purse at the bar and everything was still accounted for. I'm glad that those days are long gone, but this story will always make me cringe. I've only blacked out once, and it was the night of my senior prom. Had a dream date that didn't turn out so well. Long story, and after everything was over I knew I needed to get so hammered that I couldn't see straight. After a bottle of exceptionally crappy whiskey that the rest of the partygoers affectionately referred to as the devil's semen, I accomplished my mission of getting s-faced drunk. I only remember 30 minutes of the actual party, and they were pure, unadulterated bliss. I woke up at 6 in the morning laying on the couch without my pants. This being my first blackout, I sat up wondering what the frick had happened. After wandering around the house for a few minutes looking for my pants and jacket, I found them on the back porch, soaking wet. It had rained the night before. There was vomit on the leg of the pants, and the jacket had dirt all over the back. I questioned the survivors of the party and pieced together the previous night's events. Apparently I went pretty nuts after the first hour or so, telling horror stories about my date and drinking generally everything in sight. Further into the night, I proceeded to venture out onto the back porch and vomit off the ledge. An older adult ventured out to aid me, which was a mistake. I crashed into a chair and vomited onto her for her trouble. She left me there, disgusted. Then I took my pants and jacket off and went inside, falling onto the couch and promptly going unconscious. There was much shame to be had that morning. On my 18th birthday I was living in England, working at a primary school. I went down to the local pub and got legless. I returned to the school and tried to make a bacon sandwich. Set off the fire alarm which resulted in several hundred children being evacuated around 1 AM. Needless to say I didn't help evacuate them. The next day was a disaster. My vomit was everywhere across the school. Young children kept stumbling across it. I'd pee in the boarder's phone box and my vomit-flecked clothing was on the 3rd-story roof of the school. Worst of all, I left a horrible story about one of the staff members in the staff room. The story involved this particular staff member, several horses and lots of horse semen. This story is gold. Unfortunately my worst blackout story is pretty tame, but here goes anyway. I started out drinking at around 6 PM with a girl I was quite close to, referred to as K from now on, at the time, and her friends. We played Ring of Fire, and after downing 2 dirty pints containing a mix of spirits, beers and mixers including Sambuca, Archers, and Pear Cider, we changed to a different game. By now the night is already a blur to me. After leaving at some time in the night, I just about remember leaving their flat and arriving at a pub after talking to Kay about what was going to happen between us two, which was replied with "we'll talk about it when sober." Anyway, at the next pub, which notably sells a lot of different and diverse cocktails, I bought one called a Death Star, the only cocktail that can destroy a planet, containing a lot of alcohol and comes as 2 pints. After drinking the first pint of it relatively quickly, planning to drink the second pint slowly, a penny got put in it by Kay. Doing the whole save the queen rules, I then downed the second pint and I actually can't remember the rest of the night, other than sitting down in a club upset, walking home while my friends passed me in a taxi, and my entire house dry humping in my bed. When I woke up, after being told by my housemates I had come home crying, I decided to check my phone for evidence. I noticed I had sent about 10 texts to Kay, saying "you're a dong" or something along them lines, followed by "when we next meet, can we kiss?" Needless to say, we didn't talk much after that. TLDR, went out with a girl I liked, cried my way home, called her a dong a lot, and then wanted to kiss her. Ugh, save the queen rule is the worst. Although, here's a trick to get out of it if it happens again. You only have to consume your beverage if you were holding it at the time the penny was dropped into it, otherwise, the person that pennied you must consume theirs instead. One time my bandmates and I decided to go out to a bar after drinking Jaguar all day. You can see where this could go wrong. Well, early on in our night at a bar, my rhythm guitarist got kicked out, so we decided to leave. We lost him after we ran into a friend on the street and couldn't find him. He ended up going to jail that night. Anyway, since we couldn't find him, we went back to the bar. I proceeded to blackout. I woke up in a hospital with a tube in my arm. I called the girl I was making out with before I blacked out to come get me. She did, laughed about the night, and dropped me off at my guitarist's apartment. He wasn't there, but my other one was. Turns out I made out with this girl for 4 hours straight after I chugged her water bottle of Jack Daniels. We were sitting on Hollywood Boulevard waiting for a cab while I continued to make out with her. Suddenly, I pulled back and threw up all over her and then passed out. Some cops came by and decided I needed an ambulance because I must be on H. Being the skinny mother sucker I am. Of course I wasn't. I was just ridiculously drunk. Still shocked that girl came and got me and then didn't even mention it. I should have married that girl. Also, second worst hangover of my life. It lasted for 3 days. This isn't waking up in some unknown situation, but rather something occurring while I had blacked out. I was once at a bad taste themed party, so I went dressed as Kim Jong-il. This was a few months before he died. I got so drunk I passed out on the couch. While I was passed out, my friend set up Chatroulette on a laptop and left it in front of me so random people were seeing a passed out Kim Jong-il look-alike. They left it there for a good 3 hours. I had no idea at the time this was happening. I need to start going on Chatroulette again. Only time I blacked out, I was at a Green Day concert. I was planning to sleep it off in my car, but ended up waking up in the bushes by a bicycle cop. Sadly, laws were not on my side. Had to take a 2k ride on an ambulance to the air. Had to pay 3k for an overnight stay. Wish I could have at least have the option to take a taxi home. The funniest though was what I heard when I was picking up my burrito at the store down the street. Guy falls asleep in some stranger's lawn and gets woken up by the sprinklers. Strips down naked and forces his way into the house and sleeps on the sofa. They don't call the police, but instead get him clothes and make him promise to go to church for the next month. Heck nice. These sorts of memories take a few days to put back together. In my own case, I'd wound up pantsless, very pantsless, at around 4 AM on St. Patrick's Day, pounding on neighbors' doors demanding entry. No idea how I got that wasted. Anyhow, someone threatened a gun or something and by some miracle I came to enough to get home and go to bed. Apparently it made it on the local news. There's only one kind of pantless, really. When I lived in Seattle, I went out on a Friday night, did a whole bunch of coke and drank obscene amounts of Rumplemans, which likely would have killed a lesser man. Then I woke up on Monday in Portland. I'd never been to Portland. I was confused. I lived in San Francisco, woke up in Reno one Saturday morning and woke up in Vegas on Sunday. I never found my car, and it isn't the worst blackout I ever had. I was visiting China on a study abroad trip and found a club that really cheap mojitos. I then drank 8 of them. This didn't mix well with all of the other liquor I had had that night. I vaguely remember going to the bathroom and puking in the urinal and having the club attendant glare at me and declare that I was a bad guy. The next thing I know, I wake up on the street to see that some butthole puked all over my shirt. I then look around and see about a dozen Chinese people filming me on their cell phones. My friends try to hail a cab and no one will stop because I'm too drunk and they don't want me to puke in the car. After getting a guy to stop long enough to open his door, I puke everywhere and he leaves. Finally get a cab and are going back to the hotel when I make him pull over and puke on the road. I actually fell out of the cab. I get back to the hotel and just start screaming the new Chinese word I learned that day, BJ. I get thrown in an elevator and end up going to my room with my pants off and having my professor and everyone else standing around me taking pictures. TLDR, got super smashed. Became a Chinese internet star. Asked for a BJ. Lost my pants and still got an A. I vaguely remember going to the bathroom and puking in the urinal and having the club attendant glare at me and declare that I was a bad guy. The next thing I know, I wake up on the street to see that some butthole puked all over my shirt. Twist, the butthole was you. Not me, but something I woke up to. I came in to make breakfast and my roommate, we will call him Steve cause his name is Steve, was asleep with his head on the stove. There was a pot of mac and cheese tossed on the floor and he even had his pillow. I have no idea what he was thinking. I'm no stranger to getting drunk enough to pee myself in my sleep. But this anecdote isn't about urine. I headed out early one Friday evening around 7 PM with a friend from work. We stopped at a small convenience store and sat outside at a table drinking a few beers, passing time before heading to a nearby bar. We go to the bar after 9 PM, sit at a booth and order a bottle of Red Label. A couple of bar girls join us and we start playing Liar's Dice. For those of you who don't know, it's a Chinese game like Yahtzee where the loser drinks. At some point, I remember heading to the dance floor and being disappointed that there was a shortage of girls there. Then, darkness. I wake up early morning asleep on the floor outside the bathroom in my hotel room. There's a terrible smell coming from below. A moment later I struggle to my feet and feel the weight of a massive load of fesses, the consistency and density of chunky peanut butter, in my boxer briefs. I sigh and slide the underwear off, tossing them on the floor and hopping in the shower. I think I was too goddamn tired to really care or fully comprehend what I'd done. I hop out of the shower and move to the bedroom, where I discover vomit on the wall, bedside table, floor and bed comforter. I pull the comforter aside and climb into bed, refusing to confront the situation until I've had a good deal of rest. I later found that I tried to start a fight with some Chinese guy in the bar, which really bothers me cause I'm not normally not in butthole drunk. Waking up that Saturday evening and having to scrape crap out of my underwear by hand and then wash the underwear in the sink was a little shameful and remains my worst blackout story. TLDR. Played Chinese dice game at a bar, wanted to fight someone FF, washed crap out of my underwear in hotel bathroom sink. You ruined chunky peanut butter for me. Blacked out at a party, broke into a gas station, stole a vintage Jaguar, got it stuck in a ditch. Oh yes, then I was arrested. Hey, it's a crime to drive a Jaguar when you aren't drunk or otherwise engaged in morally questionable activities. I blacked out in a friend's room. Apparently got a little friendly with one of the girls. Nothing happened, which was a good thing considering I don't remember any of this. I woke up in my lofted bed, in my pajamas, and with all of my pre-sleep rituals completed, meaning I put my phone under my pillow. So either I have the best friends ever, or I'm the most responsible blackout drunk ever. No matter how drunk I get, how many fricked up crap I do, I wake up in my bed. I often assume everything went fine until I see my friends again. I lived with my grandma when I moved to a new city. My room was downstairs and hers is upstairs, which I hardly ever went up to. I came home one night super freaking drunk. I believe was drinking vodka, which is bad for me. I woke up next to my grandma screaming. I was in her bed, naked. I had no idea where I was for the first few seconds and started to scream too. I have never sleepwalked in my life, even if I was drunk. I had to explain to my grandma that I was drunk and that I was naked. I felt so bad for her and was probably one of the more embarrassing moments of my life. Funny story. When I was 16 years old, I convinced my parents to let me go to my first local band show, under the guise that I won't drink or do drugs. LOL. The show was for local metal death metal bands and was hosted in the backyard of some insanely large house. After starting the night out drinking a few beers and hitting my friend's wood bowl, my boy busts out a bottle of tequila. Little did I know what the little bottle fiery demon might have in store for me. I have no idea what happened from that time till just after I awoke. I woke up on a couch in some house I had never been to, shirt off, pants around my knees, my best friend GF, and another girl whom I had never met, or at least no recollection of meeting, nearly naked next to me. My best friend, we'll call him Jason, is passed out on the other side of the couch, and scattered across the house are a few other people that I am guessing are from the show. I wake up with blurry vision and a pounding headache and go to pull up my pants. When I get to standing, I notice something is not right. I have a sensation coming from my butt, so I go to scratch what I believe might be an itch, and realize something is in there. I start to freak out and don't know what to do. I shake Jason awake and start screaming at him to look and see what is protruding out of me. He doesn't understand till I threw my butt cheeks wide open and basically shove my butthole directly in his face. He starts to cough and then throws up on himself and me. Looking back, it was not the best way to wake someone up after a night of tequila and bud. Through the coughing fit he says fish. What the frick? He says there is a fish in my butt. I freak out even more, worried now that any movement will suck the fish into my sphincter even more. I tell him to get it out. He screams that he won't touch it. I won't touch it. WTF are we going to do? He thinks quickly and runs to the kitchen and comes back with tongs and pulls it out for me, but way too fast and it slips out off the grasp of the tongs and lands on him. He proceeds to vomit again. When I looked, it was a small goldfish. After kind of cleaning up, we got the heck up and out of there and never spoke of it again. Sorry for the long run-ons. I am mobile ATM. TLDR. Drank tequila. Got raped by fish. Best friend saves my life and dignity, no questions asked. Ha 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 ha, goddamn it. A goldfish in your butt is the silliest freaking thing I've read today. I was out drinking at a local bar with a guy friend from work and my boyfriend. I remember not feeling well, but I don't remember going home. The only thing I remember from the next 3 days are just small moments of semi-consciousness. I can remember my boyfriend saying, You're scaring me. I can also vaguely remember smoking cigarettes. When I actually woke up 3 days later, I jumped the frick out of bed so fast I'm surprised I didn't hit the ceiling. I immediately call my boyfriend at work, and the first thing I say is, "What day is it?" He tells me he's coming home. There are empty pill bottles all over the table. I'm terrified. He takes me to the ER and tells me everything that happened on the way. Apparently, when he told me he was calling my mom and taking me to the hospital, which was decided when he woke up to his alarm clock wrapped up in the refrigerator, I grabbed a knife and told him I'd slit my own throat. Long story short, I drunkenly took a decent amount of Xanax. We're still not sure how much. That's what put me out for a few days, but in that time, I also took a bunch of Benadryl and aspirin. I'm very lucky that I didn't die. It took me 2 more days to feel mostly normal again. I also kept discovering other strange things throughout the week that I had done during the blackout. Scariest thing being my computer history, which was full of searches on how much of certain pills I'd need to kill myself. A friend of mine did something similar a few months ago. His boss gives him the rest of the week off work, and one of his co-workers give him a fistful of free Xanax. He comes to 4 days later with no recollection of anything. This might be very PG when compared to these others, but here it is. So my friends and I had a very weird thing where we would say, "I ain't no B, I man the frick up." Anyway, when I was blacked out, supposedly I started puking in a toilet with my hand touching the bowl. Yes, the bare bowl. As I was doing this, my friend's sister walked in the bathroom and said, "Daffa duck duck, your hands are touching the toilet. Stop." I supposedly responded, "I ain't no B, I man the frick up," and started to lick my hands for like 5 minutes straight, making complete eye contact. I don't know if all this really happened, but I admit, my tongue did taste very weird and stuff. You cold just said it and left it at that. I am a little frightened that not only did you do this, but you've admitted it. Mayo. Some dude named Sam Guven challenged me to a drinking game. Like a fool, I took up on his offer. I would up in a trashed holy site. After apologizing and cleaning it up, I found out I stole and sold some farmer's goat. Then I found out I got married to someone. I apparently stiffed the shopkeep of the ring fee. Then, I find my bride only to discover she's old, ugly, and we didn't get married. She was rather upset. Motherfucking Deidre. This deserves more recognition. Okay, but how did you get in the garage? You just disappeared and after that, nobody knows because you don't remember and no one was with you? Well, the day started at about 3 out with me and a friend shotgunning a 30 of hams over about 3 or 4 hours, at which point we moved to the bar. At the bar, other friends insisted on buying fireball and tequila shots while I was drinking some Irish Death. I remember half of being at the bar. Apparently I was stealing people's drinks and being pretty obnoxious. Then my friends and I decide to go to another house that he is house sitting for. I am told that right when I got there I walked in and grabbed a bottle of wine and started pounding it. I am drunk. My soberish friends then start hounding me, joking of course, and this upsets me a bit. A friend who is also fairly intoxicated and I start bickering. This leads to us headbutting each other, me getting it right in the nose, which, since I have so much alcohol in my system, turns on like a faucet. At that point I start bawling, asking why he would do that, for I had forgotten. I walk down the stairs of the patio we were on and across the yard, leaving a trail of blood splatter and zombie movie handprints. I make it to the neighbor's front door where my soberish friend stops me and tries to get me to come back in. I just won't. I had a bruise of a handprint on my bicep from him trying so hard. So, I continue my journey down the road, swaying from one side to the other, and I guess this all wore me out, so I decide to take a nap in the ditch in the fetal position. My friends find me roughly 2 hours later and force me into the car and take me back. When we get there, a friend who wasn't even there during the incident hands me a glass of water and I stare him in the eyes, pointing at him, saying I have a problem with you, while I slowly pour the water on the floor. They take me back to my house and I wake up the next day with no memory of what happened, a massive hangover and my roommate laughing at me because I had dried blood caked to my whole face. TLDR. Got drunk. Seriously drunk. Headbutted friend. Left bloody crime scene trail as I ran away. Passed out in a ditch. Yeah, guys. You know, sometimes you wake up holding your dong? When I was at uni, I went out drinking one night. I woke up the next morning with a hangover. Didn't open my eyes but was in a strange hungover holding my dong sort of doze. As I lay there I noticed that my bed wasn't too comfortable. A few seconds later I noticed that my dong was colder than normal. Another second later I noticed my dong was moving. Then I opened my eyes. I was lying on a pile of trash under a railroad bridge. And in my hand was a large slug. Oh god, that made me cringe so hard. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.